Hello everyone and welcome Baku to the 24 hours of F1 stream. 5 more races to go, starting with one which is going to see a lot of carbon fibre, I think, flying around the streets. It is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. You've got Luke here alongside with someone who's come fresh from racing around Mexico. It is Jess.
Morning everybody. I'm actually glad to be back in the commentary box where I belong because I had it's not been the best of races, but yeah, I'm glad to be in the box with you for the last 2 hours of my stint, really. And Baku, I commentated last year, was a very, very good race, so hopefully this race should be a great one as well. And we've got a focused team that we're going to be focusing on for this one. I can't remember which one it is. Do you have someone in mind?
Yes, it's going to be F2's finest, who are still in a chance of getting themselves into the championship fight. They're still in with that. When we get the standings, we will update you. But I think at the moment they're in about 3rd or 4th position, so the chances are slim. But you never know. If there's some bad luck for some of the other drivers, they're always going to have a possibility. As we now try and scroll through the list and try and find Cherry 2Pi flying around this circuit, and that's not him because that's the way this game works at times. And there they go, heading round turn 1 now, whichever car we're on at the moment. This is going swimmingly well as they get themselves around turn 2. Heading down the long straight now towards turn 3. DRS wide open. You'll probably see most of the overtakes either down this straight or, of course, into turn 1. Cherry 2Pi now comes around turn 4. This very twisty 90-degree angles at the start of street circuits, the traditional sort of street circuit corners. And you've got this quick chicane at 5 and 6 to bring towards an end the first sector. Heading down now towards turn 7, a corner where you can afford to jump the curb a bit more than you would be able to at some other circuits. And then it is the infamous castle section as you come now through 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, one after the other. Ollie Flavel, I think, found the walls in that castle section by the looks of things. Now we're heading down towards this very flat out section through 13 and 14. You need to be very careful at turn 15 for that curb on the left hand side. As I say that, Cherry 2Pi jumps over it and just about manages to miss making contact with the wall. Coming through turn 16 now, which is pretty much the final proper corner because you're now flat out all the way through the finish. Through turn 17, quick flick through 18 and 19. Turn 20, a very minor kink before you get towards the pit lane entry. DRS opening just round about now, and we'll see what sort of time Cherry 2Pi can set at the moment. Where can he go in the Alfa Romeo? He's kept it clean enough, and in classic F1 fashion, none of the times have shown up on my screen, so it looks as though I guess Cherry 2Pi was 8th place across the line there.
On my screen it says he's 7th.
Oh.
Oh, now he's 7th? I don't know. Yeah, he's 7th because Campbell's 8th on my screen. That is very strange.
That is very strange indeed. Have you got the results, Jess? Because I've just got cars driving around at the moment.
I've got the results. What is going on? I can see you. I can see the stream. What is going on with your thingy? Well, I'll go through the results anyway, whilst you can see cars racing there. So we got Falak on pole position, then we got Matt TU40 in 2nd, Louis in 3rd, Joey in 4th, then we got the 2 Renaults of Gary and Matta in 6th, Cherry 2Pi 7th, Campbell 8th, Jordan 9th, Bagbones 10th, then we got Harry Langfeld, commentalist, Liam, Tom, Joel, Chapalele, Mike, Recruit, Falcon and Ollie. 3 people haven't set a lap time and have invalidated. And yeah, it's showing the right person as pole on your screen. That's good.
Oh, that's
good to see.
We're sort of somewhere back to normal. So just quickly go through that order again. It's Falk, Matt, Louis, Joey, Exo Gary, the Matter, Cherry and Campbell, and all Scottish 4th over the grid. Jordan, Bag of Bones, Harin, Langfell, commentalist, Liam, Tom, Chapalele, Iverbring, Mike, McCrew, Valcon, and Ollie Flavel. And it's talking about a bit of the teams battles. It looks like one hub might have to go orange the way things are at the moment.
I think we do, because Jacko Carr is performing very, very well in terms of their team. Well, they got a strong lineup anyway as well, and but some of the races at the night didn't go quite as well for us. That's probably why. But there's still about 5 hours to go now. I can't remember, so there's still all to play for in terms of points. Every team who finishes score points. If you don't finish, you do not score points, as I think the last race, every single car actually made the cross the finish line, so that was good news. And we're about to get started. We don't know what the weather is like around Baku. These drivers do, so let's see what happens. And I believe we also got the standings. There we go. The standings, which is quite close between the top by actually no, it's about 30 points between Barry Corral and Mean Team, between P1 and P2, but 10 points between Mean Team and XL. So XL are definitely fighting back at the moment.
Yeah, XL started pretty strongly, did drop outside that top 3, but they've managed to get themselves back into that now. F2's finest are in 4th position. They're currently 48 points off of the lead. The absolute units, I'm going to call them absolute units, it just sounds better now. They are in 5th place on 199 points, so probably just outside the championship battle at the moment. It looks like it's going to be beautiful sunshine around the Baku circuit, which I'm sure for any of the drivers that were racing in the previous race is going to be such a big relief after what were quite terrible conditions, but Campbell did a fantastic job to take the victory.
Yeah, Campbell unfortunately had some unlucky stuff when I was commentating him yesterday, but it's great to see him back on form again and him actually take the win to close the gap as well for his team with QVR as well, with IRO, because that could be a good battle with the two Mercedes teams as well, with only a few points in it between those two. And let's actually try and find the questions for F2's finest. There's quite a few. I'm looking at the wrong DMs. I'm meant to be looking at Mark's DMs.
Chevy Tupai's nearly crashed on the formation lap, so hopefully he does a bit better on the actual start.
Yeah, very good. So the questions are, where are you going to hope to come? Well, top 5 improve on last year. Well, they're doing not too bad at the moment, so maybe they can improve there. What team are you hoping to beat particularly? Every team, because we are the best. The Beep team with Cameron Young and Jess. Who's your strongest driver? Oh, there's quite a lot. Greeny at spinning at Belgium. Will at being oh god. I'm not saying that word because that's going to be banned on Twitch in January. Matt for using ABS. Cherry 2 Pie for being in pit lanes. CC for saying Alta. Benny, he's just the best German I know. Oh my goodness, what are these answers? Who's the one who's making up the numbers? Willie doesn't beat the ethos, or Matt, Mr. Consistent. Oh no, that's a bit harsh. Tell us mad fab about one of your drivers. They said Greeny's nickname is Chunk. Oh, that's a good name actually, I like that. Will's a top shagger, had a photo with 2 girls once. Oh my god. And if your team was an animal, what animal would it be? We could be whatever you want. Cougars. So, yeah, that's the answers to those questions. And I think pretty much all of them I've either commentated on either last season in PSGL or F2 or this season, apart from Cherry 2 Pie, is one who's driving at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I commentated on Cherry 2 Pie last season in F3 in PSGL, and he showed pace on occasions, but he did just he wasn't able to make all the races, and I think that did affect his consistency. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do at this moment in time. All the drivers now pretty much heading around to finish their formation laps. You can see what tyres they are on. We knew the top 10 were on the softs. Outside the top 10, Liam's gone on to the softs as well. Having has gone on the hard tyres. Everyone else going for the mediums. So, of course, it's a compulsory 2-stop strategy, what you've got to do. So, very interesting to see actually someone going for the hard tyres. That is different indeed. And I think Larkin sums up his opinion in the chat there of what he thinks about that choice from Javino. Not too impressed whatsoever, I think is the nicest way of putting that. But we'll see what can happen as they head towards the line. Lewis in 3rd place and with his team currently 30 points off the top. This is an opportunity with Jordan only starting in 9th place, but it's all going to be about who can keep those front wings attached to a car, because that could be more important than being fast around this circuit. Don't be surprised if we see the odd retirement, as the lights now are starting to come on here at Azerbaijan. We've got 5 lights, and we are soon going to be on
Amazing.
the way. There we go. We're underway here then, and Joey gets a drive-through penalty for a jump start. Lewis has had an absolutely fantastic start from 3rd place on the grid. He's already down the inside of the Mercedes. Matt trying to have a go as well, with a Ferrari in the background having a bit of fun. In fact, I think both Ferraris almost coming together with the Red Bull. That would have been Javino struggling a bit in the Red Bull. But it is Lewis in the lead, Matt 2nd, Flack in 3rd, XL Gary in 4th. Jordan has moved up into 5th place. You can ignore that top predicted pit stop strategy. That will not be happening. Of course, it is a 2-stop race. Further back, you have still got Javino trying to work his way back up, unsurprisingly struggling a bit on traction on those hard tyres. There's been all sorts of chaos and changing around at the start, but everyone looks to have got through the first sector pretty much cleanly. Lewis then in the lead. You've got McCrew and Jewel battling for 10th and 11th place. At this moment in time, the Williams just getting ahead of the McLaren, and Valken in the absolute units is going to try and send one up the inside of Jewel. Thinks about having a go at McCrew in the Leonis car, but unable to do so at this moment in time. Liam's dropping a bit further back for one hub as well. Cherry Tupai is facing the wrong way at the castle, and he's got no front wing. So it's fair to say, in the two races I commentated on earlier, the featured team ended up winning. If that happens today, I'll be very shocked.
Well, the featured teams in my races didn't do as well, so it's probably the glitches for my end. So I think that's the commentator's curse for me, though, as we've got Cherry Tupai. He's got a pit at the moment. He's also having trouble with Joey and Ollie for the Val. Yes, his front wing is completely gone, so there's cars behind. They're going to struggle to get him past. Meanwhile, we've got Carmentalist being passed by Ollie Pavel at a very good place. I think Carmentalist has got some damage, or maybe he's just... yeah, he's got damage.
So Carmentalist is going to have to come into the pits. Cherry Tupai having to come into the pits. Liam also missing his front wing. And Campbell, the winner from the last race, looks like he's having a front wing change as well. So onto, I think, another set of mediums for him. So that's slightly ruined his strategy ever so slightly at the moment. And you can see there, 7 cars coming in on lap 1. Pretty much out of all the circuits we've got today, it's only Baku that you could have expected that to happen on. But a perfect start by Lewis, perfect start from the Meme team as they try and blast their way up towards the top of the standings, wanting to take that victory. Wanting, of course, if they can't, to at least try and drag the battle out to the final races of the championship. So me and Jess are covering this, Azerbaijan. We've also got the next race, which I believe is France, and then after that it's going to be me and Daniel Hoggard around Hungary, James Head and Daniel around Spain, and then Aiden or Carmentalist, now that he's fresh from the pits and probably wants to remove Azerbaijan from his mind as quickly as possible. Him and James will be covering the final race at the, unfortunately, traditional F1 season finale of Abu Dhabi, as Ivo Bryn Mike, fresh from commentating earlier on, looks as though he's struggling ever so slightly. He's got front wing damage for the Esports Wales team.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame, of course. Esports Wales did have a good start in this championship, but it's fought back to go from the bottom of the standings to near the middle of the bottom of the standings, which is great to see for Mike. But Mike is probably finding it hard being fresh from the commentary box into racing. I've experienced that last night. It was a bit tricky to get my head around, so fair play to Mike for keeping it on the track as well, as Louis sets the fastest lap, 9/10 clear of Matt at the moment. Meanwhile, we got Falcon and McCrew going side by side into turn 1 as Falcon just covers off the inside line. And there was a little bit of a touch there between Falcon and McCrew. McCrew's going to have a better line on those medium tyres heading towards the start of the DRS straight. A bit of a slide from Falcon there as they both aim to go side by side. DRS is now enabled for both of these drivers, so McCrew is going to try and get the one. Falcon doesn't have DRS, McCrew does, but he just not get past. Meanwhile, Ollie and Harry are fighting for P10, de facto teammates. Don't forget that they're not teammates in this event. They all have 20 teams, so double stacking could be a thing which may go absolutely wrong, but haven't seen that many problems so far with that, which is good to see. I'm guessing there's a few teams spread out on the grid, so they don't need to worry.
Yeah, a few teams are quite spread out at the moment, and thankfully the 2 Red Bulls overtaking went a hell of a lot better than the last time I saw 2 Red Bulls overtaking at Baku, and that was pretty much the end of Daniel Ricciardo's career at that team. Tom Jewell was going very slow just before the castle section there, so I wonder if he's picked up a tiny bit of damage in the McLaren, driving for the slow but sexy. He's not going too slow at the moment, and I can't really comment on his sexiness, seeing as I've never seen him before, so he's currently in 9th place as, Mike's had another problem at the castle section, and now his front wing is completely gone. So he tried to fight on with that missing bit of end plate earlier on. I'll be very surprised if he's able to carry on now. Back in towards the front of the race, though. Louis not having it all his own way at the moment. Matt is definitely closing in now that he's got the DRS. Fastest lap of the race. You don't get any points here for the fastest lap, but he's putting in a very good performance at the moment for Side Max in 2nd place.
And the drivers, I think, around were hoping for a safety car, but there's no safety cars in this 24-hour event as well due to time. But you can see Matt's being passed by Matter as well. So, yeah, Mike's being passed by Matter, sorry. it's early morning, excuses for me. Anyway, Mike is down in 16th and he will probably have to pit for his front win. But yeah, Matt van Simax doing very, very well as well. We've seen glimpses of Simax's performance in quite a few races in the 24-hour as well. A lot of strong contenders from that team, which is really going to help them boost them up the championship as well, because maybe the top few teams will be decided, but they still want to fight for the midfield teams as Ollie Flavel gets past Tom Jewell up into 9th place. Not the start he would have wanted. There is a yellow flag, and that is a Renault or McLaren.
Renault,
it is a Renault of Mata, who's, I think, binned it in... I can't remember. Oh, it's a DRS straight as Carl Mentalist goes past, and so does Cherry 2 Pie.
Yeah, and I think Liam's going to try and just sweep all the way around the outside, and the Mata with that damage not really able to fight that off at the moment. Harry going straight past both of the McLarens. He's worked his way past Tom Jewell a couple of minutes ago, and now he's got past Shapalele as well. And has Shapalele lived up to his nickname? And I think most people in here will know what it is. He's got a broken front wing, so fortunately for him. Oh, and Tom's out of the race. He's had a big accident, and thankfully for Joey, he was ghosted at that time. Otherwise, that could have been very scary indeed for Joey at that moment in time, driving for a nosy racing. But Tom is out of the race, so he will not be scoring any points as Jordan trying to work his way here past XL Gary, getting himself now up into 4th place. Still a bit of a gap though. He's got to find 3 seconds to catch up to those front 3.
Yep, he does. It's a little bit hard to get past, of course, but we know Gary can do it at the moment. If he wants to still be in this championship fight, he's got to get past the team that could be the ones who actually win this whole thing as well. Quite a few retirements from one of the Haas teams in the evening races yesterday as well, which hinders their progress a little bit, but they are still fighting back as well, those two teams, as we've got Shapalele and Harry going into the pits then for I think it's a stop, a change in front wing. I'm not entirely sure, but it may be a scheduled stop for the crew, as most people still yet to make their first pit stops. The only ones that have stopped are the ones that got damage.
Yeah, I think it was front wing changes, but perhaps for both of them, or maybe Harry just thinking those hards are really not worth it for me. I've got to change onto something different. Maybe thinking about now going medium to the end. This is the view back from the Team Norway racing car of Langfell. He's got Valken and McCrew trying to close up to the back of him at the moment, as Matt earning a penalty. He's clearly having to push hard on those soft tyres to try and stay in contact with Lewis, and the gap has just opened up ever so slightly, and still Valken all over the back of the Ferrari at the moment. So we'll see if there's any positions there. The Matter making it right back towards the pits after that front wing damage earlier on. Lap 5 out of 26. We're soon going to be starting lap 6. Still 21 laps to go. And I have seen a few people in the chat mention about rain. Looks very nice and sunny at the moment, but you never know with how quickly it can change, as the front 3 are coming into the pit, so Jordan will have to stay out an extra lap. XL Gary has as well, as Valken's still trying to look here to try and get a move done on the DRS into turn 1. He just hasn't got any ERS to fight with.
Yeah, that's probably why Harry originally went onto the hard tyres, to try and get that first stint out of the way potentially as well, thinking that the rain is going to be there towards the end so they could do a hard medium stint, you never know, or maybe a hard soft stint so they could be faster in the middle part of the race, you never know. But how he changes, that means that he's on a different tyres altogether than where he started. He's on the mediums at the moment, so his strategy's gone completely out the window. Joey goes into the pits as well. I assume that's for damage. Meanwhile, Louis and Matt having a fantastic battle for P8 and 9. Well, I'm assuming Louis and Nat have changed for no damage. I think neither is Joey either, so scrap that part. But anyway, Louis is not dominating his race for much would have thought. This is interesting to see. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I'm guessing that's the castle section.
I'm going to take a guess it's the castle section as well. And I think something must have happened in the pits, because Matt managed to actually jump Lewis in the pits. He's been able to get back ahead of him, but obviously on those medium tyres. So XL Gary looks to be carrying on pretty nicely at the moment. I thought he might have been a cause of the yellow flag, but he's doing a good, decent job. Nearly 5 seconds ahead of Jordan, who's missing actually quite a lot of his front wing. So I think we found the cause of the yellow flag, as Valken, now a lead car on those medium tyres, is up into 3rd place. Will we see either of these two coming to the pits? I mean, Jordan, absolutely 100% certainly, he's got no front wing basically. And a very interesting fact here, that currently 50% of the top 4 is Norwegian.
Wow, that is interesting. Nice to have a few different nationalities in there as well, as Jordan goes into the pits, as well as XR Gary as well. That could be an interesting fight for those two as they both head out the pits, as well as XR Gary just comes out as Jordan just comes in. So we're going to watch Louis and Matt make their way through turn one. They're going to be comfortably ahead of Gary. Where is Gary going to come out of? Let's see. We got Campbell and I think Jordan. Campbell just behind Gary. 3.1 seconds is the gap. So Gary, a very, very good pit stop from him as well. Where is Joey going to end up in terms of Jordan? Jordan's just came out of the pits, I believe. Yeah, Jordan is ahead of Joey there. So Jordan in 10th in this race so far, but is in a different place as an Demi. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And next P6 at the moment.
Yeah, you can see who's pitted at the moment. It's actually Falk down the lead car who's pitted, which is a bit crazy. We've not really spoke about him in this race at all, but he's now lead car out of those that have pitted all of a sudden in that 5th place. Despite getting pole position, Lewis just got such a fantastic start. Seems to have gone under the radar ever so slightly, and he is starting to catch up to this lead battle. It's now Langfell, Baku, Valken and Ollie Flavel. So if Giannis is watching, you've now got 2/3 of the top 3 are currently Norwegian at this moment in time. Langfell, you imagine these will be going on quite a bit longer just to see whether they'll need mediums or softs if the rain does come, because we've seen a few drivers now have gone for the hard tyres, I should say, all of a sudden. Commentalist and Matt both going onto the hards. Suggests to me the rain's going to come quite late as McCrew's in the slipstream here. He's going to open the DRS and this should be a fairly straightforward overtake.
Yeah, it should be as well. There's a lot of other overtakes going side by side as well as Ollie and Falcon trying to go side by side. We've got Lanfell, McCrew as well. We don't know what battles to follow. This is very, very crazy at this moment in time. We've got McCrew going side by side with Lanfell heading in towards, I think, the DRS straight. There he goes. McCrew gets the job done, but Lanfell, I think, has got a good run. You can see McCrew trying to break the slipstream, which is very, very tactical, I think, for him. So let's see what the Ferrari can do as he goes to left apex. Oh, they touch us a little bit. Ollie's going to say thank you very much. He's going to try and do a double overtake. Let's see if he can make that work, and he does. Wow, good job, Ollie, and he's in the lead of this race.
How on earth did that not just end in a massive accident? I not know. What a move from Ollie, managing to get around. There was just about enough room for them to get all the way through there. Valken's actually lost out to Falk, who's now, all sorts of momentum's been lost. McCrew's got damage on his front wing. I think, if I had to guess, I'm guessing it'd be from turn 3 where Langfell got alongside and there was a tiny bit of contact, so it wouldn't surprise me maybe if McCrew's coming in the next few laps, because you really do need some downforce. What this has done, though, it's allowed Lewis to catch up to the back of these guys. Matt, unsurprisingly, struggling a bit more as Valken's made a slight mistake, and there we go. There comes Lewis, who's quickly going to need to spend a bit of money and get his game attack changed at this moment in time. He is in 5th position now, second actually out of those that have pitted. He's going to fly past McCrew, but you would imagine from the pace that he's shown at the start of this race, he looks to have the measure of Falk.
Yeah, he does, but don't forget Louis and Matt are on different tyres as well. Matt going for the hards, so yeah, I think Matt is definitely playing the long game. So mediums at this stage won't make it till the end, or possibly when the inters come in, so maybe the hards could be the best option. Meanwhile, Falk gets past Lanfell quite comfortably there as Falk is up into 2nd place. We've got he's chasing down Ollie Flavel now, and he's going to try and get past this traffic. We've got McCrew into the pits as well to make his first of 2 compulsory stops, and I wonder if he's going to go on to the hards as well. I won't be surprised if he does. He's got a change in front wing and he's on the soft tyres. Wow, I thought he would have gone for the hards. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting from McCrew. If it is going to rain, that suggests it's coming a bit earlier, as Javi here, I think, has broken his front wing because Carmentalist has just absolutely flown by. There is, if anyone wants some carbon fibre, just go to the streets of Baku. There's plenty of it laying around at this moment in time. Lewis now up into 3rd place, gets his way past Langfell as he tries to close up to Falk, 1.2 seconds ahead, and you've got Ollie Flavel 1 second ahead of him at the moment. So it is Bottle Job Racing currently leading this race, in Nordic E-Racing. Then it is the Mean Team at this moment in time. Langfell is 4th for Nordic, and then in 5th is VLT Falcon, currently driving for Absolute Units. A lot of this is going to depend on if that rain comes and when it comes, because Matt's obviously hoping that it doesn't come until the final couple of laps, and then really he's hoping that it's only the last 1 or 2 laps that are wet enough for the intermediate tyres.
Yeah, I think he's taking a gamble, but you never know. The game could throw a spanner in the works. I remember in Mexico, I was just dying for the rain just to come soon because I know my mediums were dying out. Luckily, it came at just the right time, even though it wouldn't affect my race anyway. But if it came just a few laps later, I would have probably had a puncher. So Matt's just praying to the gods at the moment that it works. Meanwhile, Ollie goes into the pits. That's Falk into the lead of this race now, permanently for just a little bit until the second stops, of course. But here we go. We've got Ollie onto another set of the medium tyres, so he feels he's going to come a lot sooner than most people. Same as Falcon as well, as he goes into the pits.
Yes, quite a few drivers coming into the pits, changing onto the medium tyres now. We just get up what these stops are. Everyone apart from Langfell has now been into the pits. We've got a couple down there that have been in twice. Cherry, Harry and Bag of Bones, and the Matter's actually been in 3 times at this moment. Really not going well for him. Chapalele was closing up to the back of Car Mentalist and then just made a slight mistake coming through turn 15. Very lucky to actually avoid making contact with the wall. So that is Chapalele in 13th. Ollie's come out of the pits and straight away on those fresh medium tyres, starting to make some moves. Uses for DRS to get himself up into 7th, up ahead of BSR Jordan at the moment. And as things stand in this race, we would see the main team close the gap from 30 points within 23 points, with Lewis currently being 2nd place and Jordan currently being in 8th. Matt's the only driver who've got a penalty, because it is a bit difficult to pick up penalties. I think turn 15 and turn 1's really the only places where you can run off circuit and invalidate a lap time.
Yeah, just wait until the next race we commentate on France. That is penalty central, so we're probably going to get a lot of penalties for that, I have got to say. But thank you to everyone that's donated. I'll talk about that in a minute, as Jordan is trying to catch up to Ollie Flaval, as Jordan pitted 2 laps earlier than Ollie Flaval. But Barry Carell is going to lose some points because of what happened in the last race in Mexico. It was a very hard battle throughout, but swiping him out there wasn't necessary in Mexico, and they've got -1 point for that. So that's going to bring the mean team up even more. Have we got McCrew and Joey going side by side once again? McCrew on those soft tyres, which he thinks is going to go sooner into this race, looking much better than Joey's mediums, but Joey is definitely not giving up without a fight, as he gets that defensive move done perfectly into turn number 1, as they now approach numbers turn 2 and 3. They can see the battle which is happening in front for the likes of Falcon, Jordan and Ollie Flaval. Meanwhile, Chapalele is covering off the slipstream of Car Mentalist. He doesn't want to give any slipstream at all, does Chapalele there in P12. Not doing too bad either as well, as I thought there was a spin, but there wasn't. It's going to be too wide once again. And with Ollie Flaval also in the mix as well. Let's hope they don't go 3 wide once again, because otherwise it's going to end in tears. Oh, and that was very close from Ollie Flaval there. I don't think that was damage. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I think Jordan's got himself a 3-second time penalty though for having to hop over that curve there. So he's picked up a 3-second one straight away. McCrew still battling with Joey and actually managing to get down the inside at turn 7. That is very good indeed. Just like to clear up that Langfell. The only driver yet to pit is actually at Team Norway Racing, not Nordic. So I do apologise for that. It's Falk, of course, currently driving for Nordic in the lead of this race. How much longer he's going to be in the lead, I'm not too sure, because Lewis is in the slipstream. The sun has definitely disappeared around the Azerbaijan capital, but this might be a chance for Lewis to take that lead of this race. So the gap now between Barcaval's and main team is 29 points now, basically, with that -1 point, and Lewis is hoping that it shrinks quite a lot at the moment. Just not able to get ahead of the Mercedes at the moment, as XL Gavi gets past Langfell, who's clearly trying to stretch those, I think he's trying to stretch those mediums out long enough that he can go onto a set of soft tyres before the rain comes.
Yeah, I think that is probably a good move for them as well, because probably the softs are probably the best tyres to be in these conditions as well. But it's getting really, really dark. Yeah, I've got to agree. So it is probably going to come sooner than we think. And if I was people on the hard tyres, probably he would have regretted going on to the hard tyres and maybe staying on to the mediums at the moment, like Car Mentalist, for example. And wait a minute, I see a little bit of sprinkling on the onboards of Louis there, and it is raining.
Well, that's made it very interesting indeed. I don't know whether my eyesight's just a lot worse than yours, Jess, because I'm struggling to see any rain at this moment in time. It's probably
my PS5. I don't know.
Humbled back of having a PS5. Yeah, if it is raining, it's definitely very... Oh, yeah, definitely, that's a spot of rain. So, yeah, we are now starting to get a bit of rain. And Falk has absolutely murdered the track limits at turn 15. Hops over the curve. And as Cohen and Faustian have said, it's going to rain, it's getting very dark. And it's supposed to... It said the last 2 blocks of the weather thing. We know what that weather thing is like. Sometimes this game can lie. I've had the last block being wet, and then as soon as we started the race, he said 10 minutes towards the rain. But Lewis isn't waiting for the rain, though, to try and take the lead of this race. He's waiting for the DRS, though, to try and get alongside Falk. He's not using ERS. He's going to have the inside line, though, for turn 1. And this should be a fairly straightforward move for Lewis. He takes the lead of this race. Campbell as well in a straight battle now. Drag race with Langfell, but Mercedes power plus the DRS should make this a fairly straightforward move for the Mercedes driver for Clean Vigor Racing. That is now Campbell up into 5th place. As further back, another Haas car looks to be making a move. Jordan gets ahead of Valken.
Yeah, Campbell doing a very good comeback in the Mercedes of QVR, of course, where they're fighting against the other Mercedes driver, IFO, in the IRL, in the championship. One of those two, I can't pronounce it anyway, as well. So Campbell trying to close up to this little battle as well. And I think there's going to be a few people struggling with this dry to wet transition. Baku's probably going to be hard at the most of times to try and stay on the track and not get in close to the barriers. I've got to say at the moment, as we've got the Haas car trying to cover off from Ollie Flavel there. You can see Jordan very struggling there. Defending from Ollie Flavel. A little bit of a love tap from those two there. That was quite nice. But anyway, Ollie is up in 7th position. The track is still a bit dry at the moment. There's some damp patches, but most of it is dry. So I think it's going to be staying like this for quite some time. But they are still struggling to get to heating his tyres. And I think there's one driver that is pretty happy that the rain is coming sooner than we thought. And that is McCrew up in P10.
Yeah, I think McCrew will be happy. And to be honest, I'd expect Valken and Ollie Flavel to be doing pretty well at the moment because they've got the fresher medium tyres. You can say similar for Harry and Cherry 2 Pie, as well as actually Valken's tapped the wall and McCrew trying to get the traction down on exit, just not able to do so. Chapalele's had an issue at the castle section again, so that's big damage for his front wing. He'll be coming in, and you think it might be worth maybe now putting the intermediate tyres on if you're deciding to come into the pits. And one of the drivers who's gone for it early from the lead, from near the lead of this race, he was in 3rd position. It is Matt. He needed a front wing change, so I think he's found the wall somewhere. Intermediate tyres going on his car, and Campbell Langfell. He's put intermediate tyres on, but he'll have to pit again, of course, as Chapalele has now crashed out at turn 15.
Yep, he has, and that is his team not going to be getting any points in this race. 2 teams not going to get any points in this race, and that'll be good if you're people trying to score some more points. So that's brownie points for that. We've also got more people towards the midfield just pitting as well. Lamfelt, Ollie Flavel, McCrew, Jordan, and that's the DRS disabled sign. And if you're not pitted yet, then I were you, I would pit, because probably you're going to lose so much time not pitting, as Joey has got a front wing change as well. He's found the wall in a few places as well. Liam goes into the pits as well, and I think Harry's going to do exactly the same, so I wouldn't be surprised if the order...
Sorry to interrupt, Jess. Cherry's in the wall at the exact same place as Chapalele. I think he's just about got away with it.
How does he get away with that? And Wright's just hit the wall as well.
That is how little grip there is at the moment. If you're on the dry tyres, you are really struggling, unless your name's Lewis, and of course you've got pad traction to help you out at this moment in time. It's 4.4 seconds ahead of Falk, and got to say, him and Falk, Gavin and Lewis probably making a bigger mistake here to go onto the to stay onto the medium tyres. There's a bit more front wing damage outside of turn 15. I'm not quite sure whose car that was. Lewis's front wing looks pretty intact. I'm not sure if Falk's missing a bit, because he does seem to be dropping a lot of time at the moment. Yeah, he's got big end plate damage as well, and Gary's kept his front wing clean, but they're all going to drop. You can imagine there's maybe a chance here for Matt to take the lead of this race. Ollie Flavel's managed to work his way up into 6th position. Jordan is now in 10th, but he's completely lost his front wing. This race is going absolutely disastrously for Bear Corrals.
Yeah, I think their penalty they got in the last race is probably not carried their good momentum forward. It's carried a bad momentum as well. And yep, Jordan's out the race, so the day's gone from bad to worse. And if I was the mean team, I would start grabbing your popcorn and maybe start getting a couple of drinks at the moment, seeing that your nearest rival is now out the race.
I mean, what drinks you want to have at this time in the morning? I'm not judging, but you know.
Well, there is some Americans maybe that might be watching. You know, have some alcohol. Sorry, it is a family show.
If there is any Americans watching, I'm impressed by your dedication, but like at some point, make sure you get some sleep when we've finished, right? Don't try and do it non-stop like J. Cole's trying to do at this moment in time, the poor bloke. Both Alfa Romeos, the only drivers with penalties at this moment in time. McCrew, I think he's had to head back into the pits for a front wing change and another set of the intermediate tyres, and it doesn't look like the team were really ready for him, so he's going to drop a long way down the order. But after all that, somehow, we missed all this, with all the crashing that's going on. Somehow, Lewis has still managed to come out ahead after his pit stop, 5.5 seconds ahead of Matt. We'll check what penalties Matt has got at the moment. It's 3 seconds for him and 3 seconds for Cherry Tupai. It's looking pretty good for Lewis at the moment. As things stand, the gap between Berkerels and Meme Team would be down to just 4 points.
Yeah, that is going to be very, very interesting as well, compared to that as well, as Mike also had a little bit of an issue there as well. Cherry Tupai has found the wall somewhere again as well. I think Vietnam and Baku is one of those both of those tracks where you're probably going to end up hitting the wall sometime as well. I actually miss Vietnam, so I don't know what happened to Vietnam, but probably Baku, I think, has been a lot crazier than Vietnam in terms of damage.
Yeah, I think there's a few drivers out there maybe wishing that Baku had been voted off instead of Monaco, because of course we've only got time to do the 21 races, and there's 22 on the game, and Monaco was the unfortunate circuit to get missing. We have also got some support from the USA, from NASCAR fans, so thank you for sticking along with us so far, as we've got now a battle for 12th and 13th place, Liam and Harry. And I say a battle, I think for the first sector of the track at least, and all these tight twisty corners, it's more just follow the leader and trying to avoid the barriers.
Yeah, pretty much as well. Harry being from A1 All-Stars as well, not doing too bad down in 13th, but obviously some of his team has scored their top 5 finishes, so he will need to pick up the pace a little bit as well. And I think if you haven't pitted as much, then probably that has helped wonders for you. And okay, so Matt from Team Jekko has gone one step further. He thinks it's wet enough for the full wets.
That is his 5th pit stop of the race. He's clearly not having the most fun time of it at the moment. Commentalist is coming in as well. Is that for front wing damage? Because that does look like a very late decision to come into the pits. And I think I do see a front wing being brought out by the Racing Point crew. So see what tyres he goes on. Is it going to be full wets? No, it's another set of intermediates. As someone who's got to pit again, Langfell, the only driver that has yet to do the 2 stops. Unless it's a completely fully, as in blue wet tyres, wet race, you do have to make 2 stops. So Langfell will have to come in again. So he's currently in 7th position. You've got to say, though, you'd expect him to drop round about where Joey is at this moment in time after he comes into the pits. But at least he will have those fresh grip on the intermediate tyres later on, which might be very useful indeed if the rain does get a bit heavier. Gary for XL, they're currently 3rd in the championship, in 5th at the moment, so of course they'll be gaining on Berkerels as well, but Oliver Flavel's trying to catch up at this moment in time. He's shown some pretty good moves in this race so far. Cherry Tupai's out of the race. Is that a retirement in the pit lane, or has he crashed it on the pit straight?
Let me have a look. Let's go on board with Bag of Bones, and that makes it probably, I think, the 3rd time that the focus team that we were focusing on whilst I was commentating on is either further down the grid or out of the race. So F2's finest, I am so sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately F2's finest not proving there that the 24 hours of F1 finest. So having a pretty good performance for any slim championship hopes, you've got to say, are pretty much out of the window now. Ollie Favell unable to get past XL Gary. Falk and Valken have both come into the pit, so I think that's another front wing change for them. And this is what we said, if you can avoid hitting the walls, you're going to have yourself a pretty good chance of having a good performance. Although saying that, QVR Campbell had to pit for a front wing change on lap 1. He's currently in 3rd place at the moment, and with Matt having a penalty, he's still got a good chance of getting into 2nd.
Yeah, this could be interesting actually as well. Don't forget Campbell actually won the last race. He can still be on the shot for getting a podium, which will be good. Huge brownie points for QVR as well. They can catch up to the championship. It's getting close towards that front as well. It's trying to getting into the top half of the 20 teams. If you get into the top half of all 20 teams that compete in the top 10, that is a huge achievement, and that's what QVR is trying to do up in third place at the moment. That would benefit hugely with Beres Corrals and SP's Finest now out of this race as well. So that will allow QVR to gain more points on them as well. Not much battling happening at the moment. It's just possession at this moment in time, as I think the only close battle we have is between Ollie Flavel and Gary, and that's within a second.
Yeah, I think a lot of the battling's just between different pit crews to see how quickly they can get out and get a front wing change at this moment in time, because there's always the danger that you can find the walls. I mean, in the first 2 races I commentated on, I don't think we had any retirements whatsoever. We might have had 1. We've had 4 so far in this race. Tom Jewell, who actually got... Well, Shapalele had an accident in the castle section, and Tom, unfortunately for him, was first on the scene for Slow But Sexy, so he crashed out of the race. Shapalele for the Humble Squad is out. VSR Jordan for our championship leaders crashing out of the race, and Cherry Tupai having a big issue on the pit straight as well. The rain definitely looks as though... Well, I say it looks as though it's getting heavier, but I'm not just sure if that's because Ollie Flavel is, of course, in the spray of Gary.
I don't know. I can't tell at this moment in time, to be honest, on if the rain's getting heavier or if it's just Gary absolutely dominating as well. But we can see a few cars getting lapped as well. I'm not entirely sure. If someone can confirm in the chat if the rain's going to get heavier, I won't be surprised if it does get heavier due to the weather slots that we have on this game. We did see a fully wet to dry race in China as well, where it got really heavy at the start of the race, went to inters and then went to dries. It actually went from inters to dries quite quickly as well, and I just wouldn't want to drive in those conditions. I think, to be honest, if I had to choose between Baku and Mexico racing, I'm glad I chose Mexico.
At least the walls are a bit further away at Mexico. So
Vagabones has binned it. He's down in 15th, and that is his front wing gone.
Yeah, so that's another front wing change then for the Williams team. Vagabones crashing, finding it a bit tough, as are so many others, understandably, in these conditions. But the Zenith online racing driver in 15th place at the moment. He should be safe to the Matter, who's been back into the pits to actually put a set of the intermediates on. So that gamble on the wets clearly not working out. I think that says it's not going to get any heavier, and we are going to be fine for intermediates towards the end. These intermediates can cope with some pretty harsh conditions, I think it's fair to say. Now, can Ollie Flavel work his way past Exo Gary? Just ran a bit wide through 17 and 18 there, so he's actually given Gary a bit of breathing space. Langfield's not too far behind these drivers either, but of course he does have to come into the pits again to avoid disqualification, which would be a big shame for him because he's currently on. We're getting a very healthy 15 points indeed. I think there's we just see Bag of Bones in the background heading towards the pit lane. And as you said, Jess, it's all a bit spread out at this moment in time. There's still some battling going further down the field, though. Liam in 12th, car mentalist. Aiden trying to recover after quite a few pit stops in this race. I think that's his third he made recently for a front wing change. He's in 13th at the moment, and looking as though he's actually forcing Liam to make a few mistakes here.
I think penalties, because only 2 drivers have got penalties, Matt and Falcon, so I think Mentalist is playing it very, very nicely there in terms of trying to force the driver to make the mistakes. And I could definitely see, Luke, this rain is getting so much heavier. It's not just our game being funny, and a lot of people are struggling right now as Carl Mentalist is going to get a better run on Liam as they make through the start-finish. I don't think there was any challenge there between those 2 drivers, and I think due to the gap that both of these drivers have behind, there wasn't that much challenge, so there was no harm him letting Car Mentalist through at this moment in time, but he still wants to gain more position, so he is going to try and not give up without a fight.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Liam. You get a point for every position, so of course he's going to carry on fighting. And his fellow Ferrari, Langfell, I think he's going to be the one who this is worth a gamble for, surely, to go onto the wet tyres, because he's got to make another pit stop. The rain has definitely got a lot heavier in the last 5 minutes, so it really looks like it's throwing it down out there. No one seems to be struggling too much with the rain at the moment. They all seem to be holding onto the car, and you can see actually Langfell almost flat out through that section, and there is still a bit of a dry line, so I'm not quite sure whether it's ready for the wet tyres yet, but I think if anyone is going to go for it, Langfell, it might definitely be worth it, and this might be why he's done this strategy of stretching it out for the medium tyres for so long. He might have been hoping he was able to go for dry to intermediates to wets, and it could well get him 6 points, as actually Falk now comes into the pit lane. He is the first car, and we are going to see the blue wall Pirelli tyres go on his car. So Falk, we saw the Mata try it early on and give up after a lap. The Falk's now going for the full wets.
That is crucial for Falk, I think, at the moment. He was the first one to respond to that full wet tyre as well. I wonder what Louis and Matt will be thinking of. I won't be surprised if Jeff is telling them to box. I think I would, to be honest, if you do not box, then you're going to be in trouble, because I can see I'm riding on board with these intermediate runners now, and they are absolutely struggling. I think even most of the front runners are struggling, unless your name is Louis, and you're in the mean team at the moment. He's not doing too bad, but he's got a 15.5 second gap to him. My oh my, he's loving those wet conditions, but he is the pad goat, for goodness sake. Getting better, I think, with using no line on this game, which is a great to see. I think this is one of his last events before he moves over to the PC full time. He's not going to be on PS4 anymore after this event, as he is just stayed out. Interesting. That is a gamble.
Yeah, he's stayed out, and to be honest, quite a few other drivers have gone past the pits as well. Liam has gone in for a set of the full wet tyres. We might be in that situation where, if you can handle it, the intermediates are faster. It's just the wet tyres might give you that tiny bit more of stability. So you're less likely to be sliding all over the track. Because I have seen a few cars sliding, but it's not like Falk's really... He's not gaining any time on those ahead, but he's not really losing any at the moment. So we are almost at that crossover point, and it all might depend on whether this rain gets any heavier. And to be honest, I'm not sure if it's actually got a tiny bit lighter at this moment in time. So we're really close. Who knows what could happen in these final 6 laps of the race. Lewis in the lead. We're seeing now Ollie Flavel. He's coming into the pit, so surely this is going to be a set of wet tyres. He was catching up. We've got a Ferrari coming in as well. That'll be Langfell. This is going to be straight to the full wets, I think, for both of these drivers. So Ollie may be trying an undercut here to try and jump XL Gary, if possible. And he is going to come out in 6th position, just ahead of Langfell, who has played this race absolutely brilliantly.
I think he has, at the moment, still within touching distance of Ollie Flavel as well. So looking good for if you're like to TNR and you're in Ferrari in 7th place as well. I think that team is liking the wet conditions more than any team at the moment, as Bago Bones goes into the pits, which I believe is for wet tyres right now, as well as Louis just coming towards the final sector. He's probably going to stay on those inders for as long as he can, because he doesn't need to worry about the gap. The gap between, well, the pit stop loss around here, if I just check, is around about 18 seconds. So no matter what happens to Louis, he could pit at any time in this race and not lose any time. But if Matt starts to gain time, then he is in absolute trouble at the moment, as everyone is starting to get their umbrellas up. I've got my umbrella up in the commentary box right now, but yeah, and Mata is going into the pits as well for another set of the 4 wet tyres, because he went on the 4 wet originally as well. I think the only drivers not on the 4 wet is Mike, Carmentalist, Harry, Joey, Gary, Campbell, Matt and Louis. And speaking of Matt, he comes in.
Yeah, so Matt is coming into the pitch. And to be honest, Lewis, last lap, he got very close to the wall, coming through that fast, flat-out right-handers in the final sector of the lap. So maybe it might have been worth him actually coming into the pits onto those wet tyres. He might be struggling a bit at the moment, and the one thing he doesn't want to do is throw this 25 points away. A reminder, as things stand, with the results at the moment and pending any further stewards' inquiries, the gap between Becquerel's and the mean team would be dropping to just 4 points, courtesy of the 25 Lewis is going to get here. Matt has come out in 3rd position at the moment, so we'll have to see now. He's 2.7 seconds behind Campbell. We'll see if he's got the grip to get ahead, as Ollie Flavel now up into 5th place. Langfell up into 6th, and that is because Joey is coming into the pit. So Joey will come out, imagine, around about where Falcon is, probably just a tiny bit ahead. Mike back into the pits as well, I think, for another set of the wet tyres. And in that first sector, yeah, you can see here, Matt's already pretty much gained that 2 seconds. He's going to be alongside into turn 7 and straight away getting ahead. It's definitely time for the full wet tyres. Just hopefully those that have stayed out on the intermediates can actually get round in time.
I think we was riding on board with Campbell and Matt throughout that section, and yeah, the visibility there has decreased as well. You can barely see the car in front, so yeah, Campbell must be getting a little bit worried at the moment, because luckily the car behind him is Gary, but Gary is gaining him all the time on the inters. Gary did not too bad on the inters actually as well, but Gary's got to worry about Ollie Flavel in 5th position. That is the person he's got to worry about as well. Lamfeld dropping a bit from Ollie, but everyone else from outside, I would say the top 4 has pitted. I think Ollie all the way down to Harry and now Carmentalist, they're going onto the 4 wet tyres as well. So that just leaves 2 drivers yet to make a stop onto the 4 wet tyres, and I think Carmentalist is going to come out in the pit lane into P13. The gap between him and Mike's a little bit further, well, a lot further behind, so he's going to come at P13 anyway, and points mean points at the end of the day, so you'll still be pretty happy. You're still getting some decent points as Matter is trying to avoid the battle for last place as he gets past Bagabones.
Yeah, there's still some battling going on even for last place, and credit to these guys for carrying on, because it's been an absolute hell of a race, I imagine, to carry on with at the moment. Campbell and Gary have stayed out on the intermediate tyres. Now, whether that's just because they've got quite a big gap, admittedly, to the cars behind them, well, that's very interesting indeed.
That is, I think, very, very intriguing between the 2 of them as well. But if they can keep the gap between the cars behind them, maybe they could stay out. You never know. I experienced something similar around Belgium, and that probably did not pay off because it was definitely time for the 4 wets. But, you know, these 2 are very, very quick drivers. I've seen them race in other leagues as well, more notably at LOE as well. So, and they are used to these type of conditions there too. So those 2, they know what they're doing. But hopefully, I think those two teams, XL and QBR, are going to hope they do not bottle this, because otherwise they're going to lose so many points. But the gaps behind them is not too bad from P8 downwards. So at least you're going to still get P8 unless you go in the wall and damage your front wing, which I really hope does not happen to any one of those drivers at this moment in time. A lot of people have got lapped already, so at least they're going to stay within the top 10 if they can keep their front wing entirely intact as well. We don't have long left until the end of this 24-hour. After this one, we've got France, then we got Hungary, and then I'm trying to remember what the track's next after Hungary. Spain, and then Abu Dhabi. I might have missed one, I'm not entirely sure, but those are the tracks that's left. Not long to go until the end. Don't forget to donate, justgiving.com. I do the exclamation mark donate. We're still on a good amount. If I check what's on my screen, we're still 80% there to the 2,500 target, which is amazing. We've already reached about, I would say, around about almost double, even triple the amount of what we raised last time. We're already in the 2,000 pound mark, so thank you to those who have donated. Can we get to 2,500 by the time James and Carmentalist do their final comp stint in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, that'd be absolutely delightful, of course. And talking about, you mentioned bottling early on, it's actually Bottle Jobs Racing's Ollie Flavel who's really starting to put the pressure on XL Gary, who might be worth just letting him go past and letting him get away at this moment in time. He's got 3 laps to go. It's just whether he's got enough grip on those intermediate tyres to battle. He lost about 2 or 3 seconds on that last lap, so it's not like the intermediates are doing terribly at the moment. Campbell just in his own world. I can see why he's decided to stay out on track, because if he pitted now, he'd lose a ton of time. He'd actually come out behind the other Mercedes of Falk. So it looks like being a second podium in the row for Campbell. Falcon has clearly been in the wall somewhere, because he's getting rid of these wet tyres, and this might be interesting to see if he actually goes for another set of 4 wets or the intermediates in this pit stop, and it is another set of 4 wets and a front wing change as well, but he should still be fine to maintain that 10th position at this moment in time, as here comes Ollie Flavel straight past the Renault of XL Gary. Just no grip through that turn 5-6 chicane, and that is Ollie up into 4th place. We'll have a look at the position changes. He's the biggest gainer, and I thought he was 16 places from his starting spot.
Yeah, indeed. I think the last time, I commentated Blizzard, at one point. I think it was in USA where we gained 16 positions as well, but this time it was for Haas. But meanwhile, we got a battle. We thought we weren't going to get a battle, but we are between Lamfeld, Gary and Falek, and I think Falek just hit the back of Gary there, but it's hard to follow in these wet conditions, so I'm not really that surprised that he does hit it at the moment. So apparently we are going to get a new lobby after this. I'll have to set a new one after this one, so thanks Ash for telling me that. But yeah, there will be a new lobby after this one. We'll be doing France straight after this one, but we still got some more battles to go. All we do know is Louis is going to definitely win this race.
Yeah, well, As long as he can keep it out the barriers. As long as he can keep it out the barriers. He's so far ahead at the moment. 21-second lead. Matt himself is 20 seconds ahead of Gamble. And you do sort of find this in the wet conditions, that you do get these bigger gaps at this moment in time. As I'm fairly sure that rain is not as heavy as it was earlier on. Gary's got to be careful, though. He's got to hope that this rain is lightening up ever so slightly, because he could be at danger of being passed by Joey still. There's only 8 seconds between them and 2 laps on intermediate tyres versus wet tyres. It could still be possible. Further down, there was some more moves. Mentalist getting back past ahead of Liam, so that is Liam now down in 13th position. He should be safe, though, to either bring Mike. And in fact, looking, Liam's exited the castle section. Ivan's only's just got past turn 2 at this moment in time, so quite big gaps appearing. As we were saying, Ollie looks as though he's going to be safe to finish in 4th place, although if I was him, I'd think about pushing, because you never know, he could still sneak a podium.
Yeah, I think quite a few times people can get a podium as well, but there's a lot of people that were hoping more people would get penalties, but unfortunately, that is not going to be the case at this moment in time. So only 4 drivers got penalties, and all of them is worth 3 seconds as well. We're on the final lap of this race. Louis is just across the final lap, and yeah, Campbell, if he makes those is it just me, or is the rain, it's less heavy all of a sudden? Maybe Campbell's gamble staying on those intermediate tyres have probably paid off at the moment, and he's not doing too bad 10 laps on those inters. Gary's dropped a bit down to 7th due to that battle, but Campbell, yeah, I agree. Campbell is doing absolutely perfectly at this moment in time as well. As I think we're not going to see much changes from the order, apart from the ones with penalties, of course. Actually, no, even with penalties outside the top 10, it's not going to change, but people inside the top 10, it could change between Follett and Lampfel. Follett wants to get rid of that deficit as much as he possibly can, and this is his opportunity right now as he goes to the left-hand side, and he does it. A little bit of a touch there, but no harm for both of these drivers. But you can see Landfeld, he doesn't want to give up this position without a fight. No DRS, so they can only rely on the slipstream at this moment, and we've got quite a few drivers that are struggling due to tiredness at the moment, which could play a huge factor in the final few races. That's probably why people could get more penalties, or why a few people are struggling on pace, as Louis is just heading through the final part of sector 3 now, and he's looking in control from the start. Really, he didn't get pole, but it doesn't matter where you qualify, as long as you qualify near the front and you do well from that point on, then that does fantastic. Louis, for the mean team, comes across the line and wins the race in Baku. Some great points for them to close the gap between them and the other Haas cars. Matt will come across the line in 2nd place, and there's still battles to be decided for people in the top 10. Meanwhile, Falcons cross the line in 10th. Harry crossed the line in 11th position as well, and I think Liam will be about to cross the line as well in a very good 13th position, and Ivan Mike is going through the second set now. But yeah, can Campbell keep those intermediate tyres onto a podium? I really do hope he does.
I think he is going to do it. What might be a bit closer is this battle here for 7th position at the moment, because Joey is all over the back of Gary. Can he get a good enough exit out of the real final corner at turn 15 to use that traction and get him the slipstream of the Renault? Of course, the dirty air is going to affect him ever so slightly, so Campbell does end up getting 3rd place, and you can see there Joey has to lift off, and that might be it for Gary. He's using his ERS. He might just hang on to this 7th position at this moment in time. Joey's in the slipstream, but he's going to run out of ERS. He's not got any DRS because it's wet, so it's not going to be enough. Gary holds up. No, actually, with a penalty, Joey gets 7th place. Sorry, Gary does end up in 8th, but he does get 7th out on circuit, and McCrew will be in 9th position at this moment in time in the Williams car for the Leonis team. Ivan Mike just coming through the final few corners as well. 14th place for him and the Esports Wales team. And the Matter will be in 15th. He actually spent quite a lot of the race in last position, but he carried on. He managed to get ahead of Bag of Bones, and he finishes in 15th. But an absolutely dominant performance for Lewis to take that victory in this race and close the gap to just 4 points at the top of the championship.
And drive of the day goes to Ollie Flavel, and Ollie Flavel has been involved in a lot of great battles in this race as well. I think he must pretty he must like Baku pretty much as well. Look at Louis' celebrations. He's got the Brendan Lee helmet. I think Louis raced quite a lot of races in this 24 hour. I wonder how many more he's got left to go before he turns off his PS4 for good on F1 2020. He's not BGG Louis anymore. I wonder why he hasn't changed his name. Probably because he's not going to be using the PlayStation for a long time. So there's no point changing it if you're not going to use it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So great result there for the meme team, as you said, taking that first position. It was a second place for Matt in the Alfa Romeo. Good job from him for sidebacks, and for Clean Vigor, Campbell taking third place. Ollie Flavelle in fourth. Langfell was fifth. One of the only drivers actually to manage 2 stops alongside Campbell and Gary. Falk, despite doing 4 stops, still comes home in 6th place. Joey was 7th, then Gary 8th. McCrew in 9th. Valken rounding out the top 10. Harry, commentalist, Liam, Mike, The Matter, and Bag of Bones for 16 finishers. So, of course, all getting points. And then it's Cherry 2 Pie, Jordan, most importantly, perhaps, for the championship. Shapalele and Tom Jewell retiring from what was a very exciting race, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, it was not as exciting as what we had in Baku last year, but still exciting enough as well. We've still got 4 more races left to go, and one which the drivers don't really like about on this game, I've got to say, France. But I'm very much looking forward to that one, and I do believe whilst we get the next lobby set up, we're going to go for a little bit of a break whilst J. Cole plays some lovely music, some catchy music, I've got to say. And shout out to J. Cole actually for staying up for pretty much almost the whole 24 hours, trying to keep us commentators on the straight, and now making sure that the right stream is shown at the right time. So fair play to him, a very, very good job, and a big well done to him for organising this event as well. So if someone deserves a nap after this, it's definitely J. Cole.
Yeah, well, all you've got to do, J. Cole, is manage to stay awake for the next 4 races. It will be France for next race, but just getting the next lobby set up. So, as Jess said, we're going to head for a quick break now, stretch our legs ever so slightly. We've got another race coming up next. Both of us will be back in the commentary box for France, so we'll see you very shortly.